Welcome to the Board Game BBQ podcast, the only podcast where drinking crumpets is a condition of entry. I'm joined today by three co-hosts. First of all, the first two are based down in Australia's third favourite city. That's Dan and Mike. How you going, guys?
Dan and Melbourne, are we about to say?
Melbourne and Mike, wherever you are.
G'day. Hey, Mitch. How you going, mate?
Not too bad. My third co-host today is none other than the master of mispronunciation, Conor Devine. How you going?
I'm sorry, I'm in a bit of delay, Dan and Warrnambool, actually. So I thought, really good. Thanks, Mitch. And just waiting to have the Board Game BBQ con down in the best city in Australia, in Warrnambool.
Nice.
Did you notice that he very carefully pronounced mispronunciation? Because if he'd stumbled over that, irony, oh my God.
I did pronounce it wrong if you paid attention. But anyway.
I can't believe on a show like this, I'm the only one that catches grief for mispronouncing things.
It's just you do it so often, no one else notices when we do. And not only that, but we have a very special episode today because today is our first episode in our Oceania Month, which is a month that we do where we have special guests come on the show who are from the Oceania region, be it Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere down sort of in the South Pacific around here. And today we have a special guest on the show. He is known for creating one of the, if not the best, the game with the most combos tasticity as well. It's Bobby Hill. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you for having me. Well, thanks a lot.
No problems at all. So I might get things kicked off with saying that so you're based in New Zealand.
Yes.
I think we're all familiar with that. But listening to your accent, it doesn't sound like you regularly use terms like chili bun and fish and chops or jandal.
No, it's the last thing to go. I'm a Kiwi by the accent. It's not. I think it's going to stick around until I pass on. Unfortunately, yeah. It just sounds like I'm taking the piss if I'm trying to mimic the Kiwi accent now. But I've been here 17 years. So.
Oh, nice. So a while there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got a little.
So
Kiwi
we're still
here.
Commonwealth cousins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had to swear on the flag. I'm like, I've done that already. I don't need to, but yeah, there you go.
Right, okay. So tell us a little bit about your space in the hobby because I think you've released a few different games, but Hadrian's Wall is obviously the most recent and probably the biggest one that I'm aware of. But how did you originally get into board game designing and what was the path that sort of led you to where you are now?
So, I live in a place called on the Kapiti Coast, which is about an hour's train ride out of the side of Wellington. And I had to fill my time in some ways. I'm quite creative. So I was doing screenwriting for a good few years and I hit a brick wall. And so I needed to divert that into something else. And so I thought, I'd give a ball game. I had an idea around the first one I created. Actually learned lots of things, and the first one's you're learning how things are not to be done. So I made lots and lots of mistakes on that one, but that was Mech Force. I even tried to kickstart that, and it was horrible. But learned really good lessons. So, but really just went through it from that perspective. I've been playing a lot more board games since my son was born. He's 11 now. Used to probably role play a lot more, but as you well know, getting a regular group when you've got kids is quite difficult. So, and I've always board games since I was a kid. But having that regular get together with your friends, knowing that sometimes you can drop in, drop out, it doesn't really affect things, and it just grew from there really. And so I had an idea, and I've been doing that now for probably the last 6-7 years. It's taken a while for me to say that I'm a board game designer. I think once I started earning a little bit of money, it kind of helps. It kind of validates, I suppose. But yeah, that's where it started from. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I guess with that as well. So we had last Oceania Month a year ago. We had Jay from 3 Minute Board Games on the show.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Yeah, and he actually mentioned about how you guys have a pretty good community there in New Zealand with the board gaming and so forth. And he mentioned to us, I think Hadrian's Wall was just about to be released, and he mentioned to us how good it was, and he raved about it, and he said how much of a great guy you were. I think he even mentioned about play testing at lunch breaks or something.
We used to work together. Yeah, in the Department of Conservation, and so I put it. I mean, he's a very good litmus test. He's a mate, but he won't. He's not backwards, coming forwards. If he thinks it's shit, he will tell you. If it's not. Sorry, can we swear on this? We can swear on this, can't we? Yeah. He will tell me if it's rubbish or not. So he's a very good litmus test for that. So and he's not much of a roll and write kind of bloke either. So but he enjoyed it, which is good. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, the only question I always had in that regard was I just wanted to know, are you and your family safe? And has Jay stopped stalking you now? Or
no, he's got one of his own now. He's got his hands full with his own.
His own stalker.
Yeah. No, he's great. No, he's fantastic. He's he does a lot. His ball game channel is great, and he's got a lot of love. He does a lot of work for like Kiwi board games and Kiwi designers as well. So he gives us a lot of love. So yeah, much love to him. Yeah.
Yep.
So you've mentioned, I think, on a couple of other interviews that I've seen of yours that you're a member of this exclusive sort of game artisans.
More posh than it
in
is.
New Zealand. Well, I'm wondering, is there a condition of entry? Is there a secret handshake? How do we sort of? No. You're sworn to secrecy about the entire thing.
No. So with COVID, unfortunately, it's slowed down a bit. But we used to get together. We got together. We've done 2 of them. We definitely want to do another one where we kind of go away to a retreat and then try each other's ball games out. But we used to get together probably every 6 to 8 weeks. And there's different groups. There's the Christchurch and the Auckland and Wellington group, and we get together and test each other's games because you get different feedback from other designers. That they're a lot harsher. And with players generally they'll tell you if they've had a good time, and they'll tell you the things they don't like. But it's a bit difficult to tell you about the things that you could change. Whereas I think game designers come from a slightly different angle, and so their kind of feedback, but they will also be the harshest critics as well. So you just got to have a bit thick skin if you want to bring something along. But no, it's again a really good group, very supportive as well, and we all kind of help each other out and congratulate each other when things are working. I know the Floating Floors is out on Kickstarter. I know at the moment that fella is part of the group as well. So again, as soon as we see someone, we like jump on and let's go and support that fella, and so yeah, it's cool.
Well, before we get on to your game, feel free to name drop who else is in this group. Are there any other up and coming designers that we need to keep an eye out? Here, there's what's his name? Is it a Sham? Sorry, I'm not really familiar with how to pronounce it.
It's up and coming. Stuff's okay, but no, he's there's Lucas, who's done. Oh God, I'm so put me on the spot. His games. He's got another one coming out as well. There's a trio of fellas that did the Regicide card game as well.
Yeah.
The one was Luke. And they're a blast. They're really good fun. There's Kirsten. I've been play testing her stuff as well. Hopefully we'll see that sometime this year. And that's it's a fantastic worker placement game around opera singing and not opera singing. Sorry, orchestra and your like famous conductors. And they've got I think it's called Innovation, but it's fantastic, and it's got some really good mechanics in it as well. So there's tons of there's loads and loads. We got quite, for a small country. We've got quite a lot of we punch up.
Yeah,
you know
I was going to say,
for sure.
What is in the water in New Zealand? We're
probably nothing.
Well,
probably pure.
Straight up
garbage.
But we've been lucky enough, a few of us in the podcast, to do some playtesting, and it is a bit of a struggle sometimes when you're sitting here and you're going, I think this would be really good to implement, but we've got no idea from a creation point of view like how feasible that is. So I can imagine you'd be sitting there going, that's fantastic feedback from you, who's like,
no. I mean,
create their own lunch.
That sounds really what's the disingenuous that you go just play and shut up. That's not it. I mean, the thing is, you get a lot of feedback without them. If you watch how people play, you can spot things that are not working and are working. So the feedback at the end should just reinforce that. There is that thing where it's like, if they're telling you something's wrong, then 99% of the time they're correct. But when they tell you how to fix it, then 99% of the time that's incorrect. And that's. But it's the thing is that you should be able to work out just by watching them the kind of experience they're having. If they're keen and they want to go to the next round, you're doing something right. And it's not just about the mechanic of it, whether that mechanic all works, but it's everything else. You lot play tons of board games. It's the feeling that you get when you're playing it, and if people are enjoying it, you should be able to see that. So so mechanically it could work, but then if people are as dull as dishwater, then you should be able to see that too.
Yeah, I've heard that term before. Used to describe Mike, by the way.
But have you, speaking of like the group that you have and the different, the up and comers or the not so up and comers that Dan brought up, has there been, and you can tell us truth or a lie, I don't mind, but has there been a mechanic or a theme or something about a game you're like, oh my goodness, I wish I could have come up with that one? Like, I can't believe that's been brought up by someone else, and maybe got a little bit jealous.
No, because it's not. No, I've never got jealous about that. That's no. I mean, because the thing is, it's building a game is not like, here's a mechanic, yay, I've done it. There's so much stuff that goes into build it. Although you can be the designer, there's so much input you should get from other people as well, be it your publisher, be it play testers, be it other designers. Nothing is built in a vacuum, So it's. Yeah, no. I don't know if I've answered that, but but it's not jealous. There's games where I go, oh, that's so good. I mean, if you played, was it Ketos? Have you played Ketos?
No, yeah,
no.
It's such a good card game. Another Kiwi designer, and when he brought it along, we played together. I was swearing at him. I was like, "This is amazing!" And I was the first person to buy that. Can I buy that? And I was his first person to,
That's
he
cool.
was quite chuffed about that. But definitely check it out. Ketos it's Finnish for thank you. I think it's a really good take that kind of card game, almost like Scrabble.
So on that point where you were saying all the different things that go into the design of the game, we've heard before that you took some inspiration from when watching Shem design Paladins, and sort of came out for Hadrian's Wall. But did you come up with the mechanics first and then look for the theme, or did you which way did it happen, and how does that sort of evolve, or is it organic?
It did. No, it did come out of playtesting. It did come out of playtesting Paladins, but it was quite organic in that respect. It was, we were one of those. I mean, has everyone played Paladins here? Yeah, so there's that wall thing, that wall mechanic where you can build at the top, and I was like, "Have you heard of Hadrian's Wall?" And and no one had, because I'm the only Englishman around the table. So I told them about it, and that's when it perked. Like, has anyone built a game about it? And looked it up, and not specifically about Hadrian's Wall. And I've been playing a lot of roll and writes at that point in time, and it just seemed to fit that, building a wall and filling in boxes. And I just went from there, really. I ended up doing a lot of research around that time period, around Hadrian's Wall, either watching videos and reading books, and then just went from there and just started just putting bits together and just to see how it would work. I said that my first draft was about 75% of what it is like now. So yeah.
75% extra, or you were already?
No. So whatever it was, that's about 75% of what you're playing now. Yeah. A lot of the things around it changed.
So I was curious about that, because it just feels like there's so much sort of going on. I mean, not just with the multiple tracks, but all the different mechanisms within the game as well. So, sort of, how did you get the additional 25%? I suppose was it trial and error, or?
It was trial and error to get to that stage, but it was a lot of trial and error. I think with those kind of games, layout is just horrendously important. And the first few, I'd print it out, put it back, put it down in front of me, and going, I don't know what I'm doing, and kind of go back to and then like move boxes around. And one of the biggest things was putting all the citizens on their own separate tracks and then dividing them up into separate bars, and it just made it a lot cleaner from that perspective, and you kind of knew where you were. Having the 2 sheets, I think, was always there because Fleet was a very big the dice game was a very
don't go mentioning
big inspiration.
Fleet. You can't be mentioning Fleet.
Yeah,
that's the F word on this part.
Oh, really? You don't like Fleet?
Oh, the other way around. I love Fleet.
He's obsessed with it.
It's phenomenal.
Mitch will not shut up if you mention Fleet.
Oh, right, okay.
Don't ask Conor about the solo mode.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fan. But sorry, I lost track. But no, what happened was that 25% came out of having Shem really as a publisher. So I took it round his just to see what he thought of it. We play each other's games, and he was like, I published that, which was fantastic. I did not expect that, and then that's when he turned around and said, right, go remove 2 to 4, goes to 1 to 6, remove the dice, needs to be cards, get rid of the turn based, needs to be simultaneous, and then just went off you go. And so I was like, right, okay, let's go from there and then start moving things around. So
that's awesome. That's really good. And was it a conscious decision to try and like reach that pinnacle of having the chunkiest pads in all of board gaming?
That's all Shem. That when he turned it up and he delivered it, I was like, oh my god, that's 200 sheets. That's crazy. But yeah, that's all Shem. That's that's his brainchild on that one. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Bobby, you would have heard at the start of the pod that Mitch referred to it as having the most. What did you call it, Mitch? The combo-tasticity?
Combo-tasticity, yeah.
It's also been referred to as combo-tastic and comborific. Do you have a made-up word for this, or what's your favorite of the 3? Oh, you do? Bring it on. We need another one.
There's people have been saying how you describe this game, and it's taken me like a minute, but I've gone to a Euro right. I think I can
Euro right.
A Euro right.
Nice.
So,
okay.
So the thing is, because it's got the worker placement, but you've got to fill things in. People are saying it's not strictly a flip and fill because you're only flipping like at the start of the turn, and then you're getting the resources and then running things in. And I thought, okay, then if you want to be fancy, you can call it. Was it Euro Schreiben or something, whatever it's called in German, because they love that. Yeah. But no, Euro right probably. That's probably the nearest thing. Yeah.
Because I've got some friends that are big Euro players, and they don't really touch roll and rights or flip and rights. It's not the sort of thing. Yeah. But I decided to introduce this to them because I felt it is the Euro version of a flip and right or a roll and right. So you definitely hit the nail on the head there. I'm really interested to ask, in the 75% that you came up with first, I'm interested in. I've never really played a flip or roll and right. We actually have meeples, and you're putting resources in and out of a game. And I think that's one of the things that really brings excitement to the game, because it's not purely roll, right? You've got that fun of, if I take this, then I put this back. And I really get excitement from picking up this meeple and throwing it into this thing and picking up a handful of these ones. And whereabouts in the process did that sort of mechanic come from? Did anything inspire that for you, or?
Yeah, it did. I've got an horrendous memory for starters. So, but we played a game. One of Shem's, he brought it around actually. It was I think it was Dice Settlers, the Roll and Write Dice Settlers. I can't remember the exact name for it. And although the game was good, you had to hold a lot of stuff in your head. And that was the biggest problem with that game. And they've said, and we both said it would be really good if we had, some kind of interactions and meeples at the time. And so it was always my intention, if I was going to build it to be this big, to actually have physical like representation of things to be moving around. It was there right from the very beginning. Just because, again, I've got a bad memory. I don't. The game's not about remembering; the game's about how to spend it, and it's just nice to. Especially, it would be with so much moving backwards and forwards. It would just be hideous to actually just being able to maintain that without having a physical representation of that. Yeah. So, and to be honest, it also it kind of. It plays at 60 minutes. I know it plays longer when you started, but I think it justifies that by having more components and it being a bigger game, So, sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just saying that it helps too, because I feel like it's a real engine builder as well. I was playing it this morning just to sort of catch up on it, and I realized that once you build, you get the production underway, and then when you start building the motels and you start building, getting the different ways to get victory points at the beginning of the turn, it really feels like an engine builder more so than, I guess it's sort of with the pieces, you'd be like, oh, it's a roll and write worker placement, but it's not really. Like, to me, it's an engine builder with the combos and things like that. So was that your intention from the outset, or did you start going, the addictive part of a flip and / roll and write is the combo tacity? So where did you find yourself landing to begin with?
Combos are always part of that. I always wanted that backwards and forwards. And again, sorry to bring up the F word, but Fleet was very good at that. You had those. I just love it. It was up until very recently my favorite roll and write, because it really was like you do that bit and then you move to that sheet and then you can come back to that sheet and you're going backwards and forwards. And it was so getting those little endorphin rushes. And I always wanted that. There was two main things that that we changed at a later stage of the game, the development. One of them was was introduction of those bonus cards to give like players the ability to focus, so they don't get so overwhelmed. And Sam McDonald, Shem's other half, he's the one that recommended, why don't you do it like per round as opposed to one of those ones you just get two and you have to run through the entire game, which I think improved the game immeasurably. But the other thing was that the game was running too long, because it originally was 10 rounds. And so what happened is I reduced it down to 6 rounds, which thematically made sense because most of the wars built in 6 years. But what I ended up doing is actually taking the 4 rounds worth of meeples that you would get and go, right, where do I put them on the board? And so what happened was that now 6 rounds was now concatenated down, but you still got the amount of backwards and forwards, in fact more so when you were playing those particular rounds, which again, as soon as you did that, you're like, this is great, so yeah, again, is you try something out, it doesn't work, and you try something out and it does work, and that's the way you stick with it.
I have to ask, because you perked my ears up and maybe some other ones, the moment you said Fleet used to be your favorite game. Now, you might offend Mitch here. Okay, you might offend Mitch here, but I'm curious if it's Three Sisters that's taken over, or I'm curious what's taken over, because I think
I don't know where it is,
especially here, we love our roll and write. So I'm very curious.
Roll and write.
I actually assumed.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there you go.
This one here. This one is definitely
yes.
Roar
Nice.
and Write is it's great. Yeah,
It's fantastic.
Love it, because it's also got the drawing component as well. You're building and it's got a lot more things kind of going on, and really enjoyed it. Really enjoy it.
They came out a little bit out of left field, that one.
It did, yeah. I haven't played the other 2 versions of it. Shem has, and he's played all 3 now, and he says that's the best version. He thinks it's the best version out of all 3 of them. So,
okay. So, just while we're talking about roll and writes in general, we had Ben Pintrack and Adam Hill it was Adam Hill, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. You guys brothers? From Motor City Gameswork on the show last week, and they were talking about their upcoming projects in the roll and write sort of genre. The other heavyweight in the genre is yourself. So what have you got? Has got anything on the agenda coming up? You're going to throw another jab back at the Motor City boys? Or
I am.
I know in WDB you had a prototype behind you, so I'm curious to see if that's what's coming up next.
It's
if you can't talk about it, you can say that.
No, it's cool.
We'll just keep it between the 4 of us.
We won't tell anyone.
That's nice.
I think Shem played it on Wednesday and he enjoyed it, which is great. I don't know whether or not there's some work to be done before then, but it's instead of building, it's another roll and write, but I'd say it's more advanced, which is kind of a bit scary, because it's like, oh my god, how can it be? People are going, why would you make it more advanced?
We're going to have
4 sheets.
And it's not 4 sheets, but it's a lot more. Like, there's a lot more resources. So, although to manage, and it's based in like I'm looking at the Anarchy, or it's around 1135 to 1153 in England, where there was just basically, funnily enough, there was just there's two groups of people that were basically attacking each other's castles. And so what you're doing, instead of building a wall, you're actually building a castle. But one of the other things is that you are attacking other people's castles as well, not each other. But so we're looking at currently I'm looking at like a map. So the fact is there's going to be so there's it's a bit more complicated. So there's some work to be done. It's it's looking it's good. I think it's going into the direction I want it to be. But that's where I'm looking at the moment. So
are we going to be making origami castles? Is that why you made it more complex?
No, that would be good though. Maybe maybe a stretch goal.
Each time you tick it off, you've got to fold another section, and then you tick another fold another, and then eventually.
So it's I've packed out 2 sheets of paper, and I was amazed that Shem managed to, get with him and his brother to actually squeeze it down onto those size sheets. I'm not too sure if he does publish it, what's he going to do with these? So
but that sort of brings up another good question. As a designer, like we're consumers, obviously, and like I said before, I'm not a creator's elbow, but what do you think is manageable in terms of numbers of sheets? Because I started off with like Garns, Sean Clever, and I'm like, oh, this sheet's packed, and then I played Fleet, where it's like 2, and I was like, 2 sheets, what? And then when I opened up Hadrian's, I was like, no, this is 2 sheets. So what do you think is manageable in terms of numbers of sheets, or how
size?
Big size as well?
It's tough. I guess it depends on what you want to get out of your game. The thing is that, okay, going a little bit off track, Lisboa. Have anyone played Lisboa around the table? Right, so Lisboa, when you roll out that board, it takes up most of the table. It was one of Shem's games, and after about 25, 30 minutes of explaining the rules, he went, right, that's the first third of the board. and so it comes down to the fact of what you want. And it's not even like roll and write. Roll and writes, I think, have got a... they're lighter games, so they're fillers, they're little aperitifs you put between if you're doing a big session, or you got a spare half an hour, and that's fine. And that's fine. Obviously Adrian's Wall's not that, and I think other games don't have to be that either in that genre. The fact is that it shouldn't just the mechanics should stop you from designing the game that you want. You just got to make sure that it's fun. And they say that the games are fun engines. You put time in, you get fun out. So and if you want to play a 13-hour game of Twilight Imperium, and that's fun to you, that's great. But if you want to play a 20-minute game of Ticket to Ride New York, that's also fine. So it comes down to what you want.
Personal preference.
Yeah, exactly.
So like Dan might like a game with like 4 or 5 sheets, but Mike's probably going to be limited to the back of a stamp.
I think you're right, because the fun element is what makes it different to just doing admin, not just ticking boxes. And that's where particularly in Hadrian's all the combos come in, because then this gets me this, and then you're like, oh, look at this! I can do this, and this, and it doesn't feel like admin anymore. It just feels like I'm on a roll, baby.
Yeah. I was going to jump back to at the start when you were telling us about how you got into board gaming. You said that one of the things that sort of pushed you in that direction was that you used to be into RPGs, and the time commitments that are required to do that, sort of push you away. And I'm very, very similar, took a very similar path myself. Trying to get DMs and people together was just a challenge. So I thought, well, if board games might fill a lot of those gaps. So to that point, what were your favourite RPGs? What did you get into?
I'm a forever DM, and now Max is a little older. We're DMing it. I'm DMing a game, we're role playing a game, which is great. So we've got like a regular group. I'm a D&D. I dabble with other ones, and I've played a few good ones that I've enjoyed. Aliens is a bit like Pandemic, to be honest. Your character's not going to survive for very long, but it's good for a couple of sessions. There's other one we play, Tales from the Loop, which I really enjoyed as well. It's that really good mechanic about playing kids, and the adults never listen to you. And a good DM, Luke, who's our DM, was really good with that. but D&D is where I live and breathe, to be honest. I've been there since second ed, and I may have skipped fourth, but I'm loving fifth. So, and yeah, love it.
Yeah, excellent.
I wanted to ask, with like your passion for D&D and role-playing games, and having been a screenwriter and loving story-driven games as well, I've heard you mention. Do you think you found your niche here? So, like, the stories you're telling in your games, from my understanding, are more about a point in time. Do you see yourself sort of diving into a game that is a bit more fantasy, story-driven, maybe to like a younger audience? Because I know you like playing games with your son. Or do you think you're on a roll here and you want to keep pushing forward with these sort of level of games you're making currently?
I've got like 4 games. 4 made games that are very different from this one. I guess I just wanted to test myself to take it to another step forward. But the first game I made was as Ameritrash as you like. I mean, Mech Force it's got over 100 dice. It's
Oh, wow.
yeah, no. I mean, what you're doing is you're building a mech out of pieces, and these pieces will give you new dice, and you got to go and defeat enemies, and you're working together.
Ooh.
It's just like it's lots of rolling and pushing your luck, and that's great. I've done like an abstract game called Stalactites. So it's I guess it's just what kind of piques your interest. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, theme generally, other than the abstract one, theme's always been important to me. I mean, Sam McDonald's always having a go at me about that, because he was like, right, we do this and this and here. I go, but why are we doing this? What's the point of doing this? Because of this and this and this, you know what I mean? But so theme's always been very important. So, and I hope that shone through with the Hadrian's Wall. That I know, going back to Jay, and I have said this before, but Jared, he was very good at saying there's a difference between immersiveness and theme. That a game can be thematic but not immersive, and I understand that you can't really be that immersive by filling in boxes on a page, but hopefully the theme would shine through, because theme is very important. I mean, it's not it's not like Nemesis or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So.
Well, no, I think it does. I think it does have that sort of feeling where you're going through and you're almost preparing for that picked attack that's going to is going to come at the end of the round, and drawing those cards sort of does give you that sort of feeling, and you have that anxiety of feeling, have I done the right cohort to are they going to get through? So I think you've pretty much nailed that from the same perspective. Anyway, yeah, I think it gives you that feeling.
But even like getting more citizens and ticking up their citizen tracks, like that makes sense. They're not just workers; they're citizens. And then having which I think we'll might touch on in a second, but with the servants and how you can if you go through the I forgot what the track's called now, it's right in front of me. If you go through the like the courthouses, you can grab more servants and things like that. Like there's an actual role for each of them. They're not just worker A or purple worker or things like that. They've got a name and they actually serve a particular purpose, which adds to from a mechanic point of view, but it's also a thematic point of view as well during that time.
And just on that, you fully acknowledge in the rule book that the game has servants, because historically that's just a reflection of the time and the city when the game is set. But I can't imagine that you would have come to that decision lightly, given that the current context of that topic. How did you approach that? Did you consider not including them, or?
So yeah, I mean the world's changed a lot in the last few years, and Shem writes his own rule books, and bless him for that, because no one likes writing rule books. But I did say that I wanted to do a little history forward, and I wanted to make this comment. Jarrett, who made Endeavour, I don't know if you've got second edition up there. They toed and froed about whether or not to put that slavery mechanic back in, and again they made a point of it in their rule book. I don't know. I mean, today would I have done the same thing? Maybe I wouldn't, but I still felt that when we got to that stage, I started feeling uncomfortable that I shouldn't say something about it. So that's why I did. I mean, still there are still some people that have got issues with that, and that's fine. That's fine. But that's where we are here.
All right. Well, if you're okay, I might ask you some questions from the folks who have contributed in our community. So the first question comes from Kenny, who asks if there's a particular strategy of yours in Hadrian's Wall that you would consider your favourite, and do you consider one difficulty level to be the true Hadrian's Wall?
It was built on normal. We put it easy just for those, just for allowing people to get into it.
Just for Mike, yep.
Yeah.
I haven't got off easy yet. I love easy.
And we built hard because of Sam McDonald, because he's a monster. But having those just gives people that choice of where they want to go. But normal is what it was built on, much like computer games, I suppose. From the past, I think the whole point of it was I didn't want apparently, I haven't played it enough, but Danshon Clever or the second one, they're supposed to be able to be solved, if you get that, and I didn't want that. So I wanted the ability to be able to say, right, well, you can do this and you can do that, and based on what say bonus cards you get, you may, if you want that big score, you may need to go that way. What really I suppose was really good for me again was to revisit when Shem said, you're getting a lot of love from the solo community, maybe you should do a solo campaign. And I was like, okay. So I ended up basically playing it again over 20 times in a row, and then varying, I don't know if anyone's played the campaign, but that every single time I was right now I'm going to say that you can't use that, or you can use that, or this is not. And so what it does, it forces you to say, right, I'm going to start playing it this way and see what I can get. And that was really good. That was really good to actually, at least have the confidence that I knew that you could still get fairly good scores just by doing different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I'm gonna say a dumb moment there. Did you say a campaign for Hadrian's Wall?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a solo
Is that in the book?
campaign.
I've never looked at that.
It's not in the book. It's
download it.
Yeah, download it. It's on BGG. So
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm down. That's good to know.
It'll cost you $15 though.
Yeah, cool. But it's $3 New Zealand. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question comes from. Well, actually, there was a question from Darian Jackson about your new prototype, which you've already covered, so we won't ask that one again. Lisa C asks, have you actually been to Hadrian's Wall?
No. We got every intention when we can get back over to the UK to do it. Yeah, to go and walk it. Yeah, I know. Can I
play a game on Hadrian's Wall?
Yeah. I don't know if it'd be as cliche as that, but I certainly want to walk it. Yeah. So I did actually speak to the hadrianswall.co.uk, the people that and said, look, there's a game here. I don't think so. I don't know if anyone, but it'd be good to definitely walk it. Seeing I've done so much reading about it, it'd be good to see it. So
yeah, they didn't buy 100 copies to put in their gift shop or anything.
I don't do the money side of it. Yeah.
Right. So you just do the work, and Shem just gets paid.
I would no, I'm not going to say that.
We'll ask him about that if we have him on again.
So are you a bit of a history buff then, given that your next one is also sort of set in historical era?
Yeah, I've turned into my dad. I've said this before as well. It's like that. You go into the museum and you want to go around and press all the buttons, but your dad's like reading every panel. I've turned into that man. So it's but it's good. Yeah, and there's another. Hopefully. It peaks. You go, that's fantastic, and then
there's a game in that.
Exactly. You go, there's a game in that. So you quickly go on BGG and go, no one's done a game on it quickly. And so there's another period just after the Second World War in the UK that I've been doing a lot of reading around, and hopefully I'll be working with Shem on something on a game that, like a co-op. Hopefully in the near future on that one as well. So I like it's good theme, as I come back to that, it's good theme.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Conor here. Just want to take a sec to talk about one of our sponsors, 2D6 Games up in Brisbane. 2D6 support this podcast, and Dan, Dave and Joe are a great community focused team who are always present at our game days. They offer free shipping Australia-wide, which is an incredible bonus. They also directly support the Brisbane Game Day. So if you're ever at a Brisbane Game Day, drop into their store and say hello.
Every episode on the show, Bobby, we generally have a bit of a conversation. We talk about games that we've been playing lately and ones that we've liked, and maybe recommend to the community. Have you been playing anything lately that you've been enjoying, and would you want to tell us about it?
Oh, blimey. Games that I've enjoyed. So obviously the Raw and Right's been really good. What did I play the other night? Marco Polo, I actually quite enjoyed because being a role player, I love any time there's dice in the game. Huge fan of Tricerion. Really huge fan of Tricerion. And I kind of shelled out to get all the bits and pieces for that, which is great. I think my favourite of last year, though, was probably Dune Imperium. So I've kind of got the expansion to that, which I haven't played yet, but I'm hopefully playing soon.
Yeah,
but,
I believe there's a whole bunch of upgraded components for Dune Imperium as well.
Yeah, I've got that too.
Yeah.
I one of those players who go, I like this game. How many expansions are there? And then go out.
You're at home, you're amongst friends. You are,
This is a safe space for me.
Yeah. Well, we might just swing around then. So, Conor, what have you been playing lately? What's been hitting your table?
What's been hitting my table? Well, I've been apping it up again, and one of the next one that I've gone back to revisit is actually a game that you didn't like all that much, Mitch. Funny enough, it was
really?
Imperial Settlers, the role.
I thought you were going to say Inish.
Yeah, well, that's the I word. So interesting because when I first played Imperial Settlers Roll and Write, I was initially, it comes with 2 sheets, kind of the same as, and I was like, oh, this is really, really complicated. And then when I went back and played, when I played Fleet, I was like, oh, no, this is actually complicated. And I think it was that process of, but it's interesting because it shares a little bit of similarities in what Mike was saying about with the resources, because you gain the resources and the default pads don't actually give you anywhere to track them.
Well, I think I was wondering if that was the one Bobby was talking about.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
So that's, and even that, what they then did is they created sheets that you can track them on. But I mean, that's all well and good. But I've been enjoying that in the app form because it obviously does that bookwork for you. And the other thing that you get to do is you get to continue to just churn through the different civilizations that you get in the app and get to replay them and so on and so forth. So that's something I've been doing a bit. But I guess the game I want to talk a little bit more about and ask other people that have played it is if you humour me a bit, I went back and played Okami on my Nintendo Switch. So I don't know if you played Okami, but it's set in Japanese mythology where you play this wolf called Amaterasu, and then I was like, oh, I just got the urge to play Bitoku because it sort of has not the same art style, but it's Japanese lore and things like that. And it was more of a question for, first of all, have any of you guys played Bitoku yet?
Yes.
Not yet.
Yeah, so what did you think about it, Mike? Did you really enjoy it? Did you find a lot to manage? Or
so from the start, from the teach, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I had no idea. There's some really cool different concepts in that game that took me a little while to get my head around, and there's lots of them. So I was the last one in the game to sort of click as to what was actually going on and what I need to do. But once I clicked, you can sit back and appreciate how just beautiful and intricate it is and how much of a point salad it is. There's so many options you can sort of take, and I thought it was a brilliant game. I haven't added to the collection just yet. It scares me, but I thought it was fantastic, and I definitely would play it again.
Yeah. No, I really like it. And I don't know if I really like it because of the art and the theme more so than the mechanics. And I think I need to play it a little bit more. I got it out the last couple of days and tried it a bit solo. I'm not a massive fan of it solo. I think kind of like what we've talked about in the past, Mitch, it's still got a fair bit of legwork that you have to do as opposed to, it's not sort of automated and things. You have a deck of cards, but you still need to, they're going to take that spot and they're going to take that spot. And it's sort of, it's a little bit
all the blocking with the dice that I think is an important interaction in that game that you don't want to lose from doing it solo, I guess.
And that's right too, because that will change based on a human opponent because they're not necessarily predictable in that sense because they might be going, and whereas the AI will take the optimum spot,
spot.
even though it might suit you, whereas a human might not take the optimum spot.
Like if you're playing against me, I would always choose the least optimal spot.
Yeah, and
Just to mess with you.
And it's like those people who when you play like Euchre or 500 with someone that plays Euchre or a hell a lot, it's like, why did you do that? It's like, I don't know, I just did it. Like, why are you having a go at me? So, I think you're right, Mike. Like, it's as point salady as it comes, and at the end you're like, okay, what do I need to count? But it does a good job of teaching you through it. What is not great, though, and I've talked about it before, is the rule book. Oh my god, it is a absolute shocker of a thing, and that's what I wanted to give credit to Bobby for, and I guess Shem in the way, is that the rule book for Hadrian's is exactly what you'd want, even to the point where it's like, we are going to focus on this side first. I know there's a whole other side. Relax, chill. We're going to do that. Whereas Bitoku, it's like, you're going to do this. Oh, let me talk about this for a second, even though it's not going to come up until later. Oh, let me talk about that. And it's like, where I know this rule's in there somewhere. I just don't know where it is. It's almost you. And I watched a playthrough of it. I wish I could remember the guy's name to learn it. And that was fantastic. That was really good. It stepped it through. It was incredible. And by then I was like, I can play this. I can teach it. Whereas if I was just to learn it off the rule book, it would be really, really tough.
That's the thing you want with rule books, though. You don't want it to be just to tell you the rules. You want it to be a perfect reference guide. So when you get stuck at a certain point during the game, you can quickly find your spot in the rule book and go, okay, I get it. Off we go. You know, you want to start from the start and go, look, it's in here somewhere. I'm just going to have to find it. And it tells you a story. And it's like, I don't want the story now. I just want to know what to do in this particular section on this particular thing.
Nothing worse than sitting around waiting for your turn while someone's flicking through pages and pages of rule book trying to find some
It's here somewhere. It's here somewhere. Yeah.
And when your action isn't actually that complicated and you know exactly what you've got to do for it, it's like, look, all I need to do is move my meeple here. Like, that's all I've got to do. So just, but bringing it back to the things that I did enjoy, I think it almost marries all those things perfectly together. It's got the dice placement, it's got the resource management, it's got the tracks, it's got several tracks, which we all have tracks on the show, right? Like, they show that track. And it's got a little bit of, I don't know if it's deck building per se. It is. It's slight deck building, but then that ability to mill your hand and use those to get points. Like I said, I think I'm going to play it again this weekend, and I'll hopefully play it with my partner, just to make sure that I do like it as much as I think I do. I know that sounds a little bit sort of self-serving or whatever, but I love the art. I love the concepts. I love the fact that you're playing with the yokai and you're building the different sections and you're using your pilgrims off your board to get more points. And the pilgrims are used for different things. It's multi-use. Like, it's so clever. And I think it does work, but I would like to investigate that a bit more. So that for that reason, and for it's had a bit of discussion, it's my sizzling game for the week, Bitoku by De Vere Games. Did I pronounce that correctly? I think they're French.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? What's been going on in your... I saw a photo of yours the other day. You've probably got about 16 different games by the looks of it. You've been playing games like crazy.
A bunch of games lately, man. It's been awesome. It's usually I'm like, God, what can I sizzle this week? And what can I talk about? Man, I've played so many. I've had a few 2-player run-throughs where I've played like Royal Visit, a friend brought over Paris, La Cité de Lumière, which was absolutely amazing. I gave Pagoda a go. Too Many Bones has made an appearance twice since I last jumped on. Finally tried Patchwork for the first time, which was awesome. I'm just going nuts.
For the first time?
Yeah, I love UA, love 2-player games, love Polyomino, never touched Patchworks, but I finally got a copy and absolutely loved it.
I can't, that boggles my mind.
Mate, it doesn't make sense. It's crazy. I played a hilarious game of Camel Up because I found out I had half the rules wrong. There was so much I was doing in Camel Up
that was surprise, Mike, with you
stuffing up the game hilariously, and that's probably a whole nother topic for another day. But I've played a bunch of really cool games lately, and it's been great just diving back into it and learning lots. But the one I want to sort of concentrate on today, and the one that's been my sizzling game, I said it before, and I'll blame Jesse from Quackalope for talking about this game when I was trying not to back things on Kickstarter. It's Meeples and Monsters. So it's a new game out of AEG, and man, this game's a lot of fun. Like, I love my bag building, and this game is a bag building like what the sort of theme is. You have monsters attacking your city, and you want to build your bag of like peasants getting turned into mages and clerics and warriors, and you want to sort of build them up in your city to pop them in your bag and hopefully pull out the right combo that you need to attack the monsters that are invading. So the game's really cool. It's you start off with 3 corruption in your bag, and corruption are meeples that don't usually serve much of a purpose. They sort of just chew up your hand, and at the start of the game you're only pulling out 4 meeples at a time. So if you pull out 3 corruption and a peasant, you can't really do very much. But the way the game sort of happens in 2 main phases, because at the start of the game there's 8 blank spots on the board that you sort of have to actually build up and put worker placement spots onto. So the start of the game is everybody building up the game in this unique way every time, because different people are choosing sort of placement spots, and there might be, put a mage here and get this, or put a warrior there and buff these guys, and there's all sorts of things you can do. But as you play the game, you're going to be collecting more and more meeples to go into your bag. And then what you find is once the sort of board's been set, then it becomes about, okay, well, I want to make my warriors stronger. I want to make my mages stronger. I want to my clerics stronger. And they sort of get special abilities, and then you start concentrating on killing monsters. And as you kill monsters, you get things like buffs where you can slide this card underneath your warriors, and now every time a peasant fights with your warrior, all the peasants going to be +1 strength, and which means you can start tackling stronger monsters. And as the game continues, you have level 1, level 2, and level 3 monsters come out, and while you're doing this, you're looking at these 4 monsters that you're going to fight at the end. And once the end game trigger happens, that's the only time you have 2 shots to attack these monsters. So during the game, you're trying to really thin out what you're putting in your bag, because when I pull out 6 meeples at the end of the game, I need 12 to 15 strength to take down these big bad guys. So when you don't concentrate on that and you do what I do, and I'm putting out a handful of peasants that aren't too strong, you're not doing too great. But
so it sounds a bit like fantasy role-playing game crossed with Quacks of Quedlinburg.
That was what I thought.
Exactly. I feel it's like the...
I'm presuming the meeples are all the same size, so you don't know what you're grabbing out of the bag.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I call it sort of Lords of Waterdeep crossed with Quacks of Quedlinburg, because you're building up your own worker placement spots, and you're trying to sort of thin out what's in your bag, but it's been a lot of fun. I've sort of taught it a few times now. There's a few rules that I was a bit unsure of, but I jumped on BGG and asked some questions, and AEG actually jumped on and answered some of them for me, which is really cool.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, this game, just as soon as I heard what it was about, how it worked, it's bag building and worker placement, I'm like, these are all things I absolutely love. And I just jumped right in. And I'm really glad I did, because, it's an awesome game. It's a lot of fun. The art style is really cool. Oh, one of the best things about it, if you get your hands on this game, most of the cards, all your enemies are still meeples. So the drawings, the characters are still meeples in the drawings. So it's like a city of meeples. And I thought that was really clever and really different. And yeah, the game's awesome. Every time I've played, it's been a bit different depending on what sort of worker spots are coming out. There's some cards that are King of the Hill where I'm going to put my guy on there and he stays there. And if he's still there by the time my turn comes around again, I'll get 3 extra points. Or I'll get to pull 2 extra guys at the bag. So then it becomes a big... I'm going to push your guy off and take over. Then this guy's going to push his guy off and take over. And there's really cool interaction in the game. So, yeah, Meeples and Monsters is my sizzle for the week. And that's been really hitting the table hard and been loving it.
So how does the end game work? Is it the first person to take down the 4 monsters wins? So you sort of actually have to set up your deck. So there's level 1, 2, and 3 monsters. And there's these certain cards that are... I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head, but these black cards that sort of say the bad guys are approaching. When that card comes out, you have to put an extra corruption in your bag straight away, so you've got more chance of pulling out rubbish. And then you actually have you get to pull out an extra meeple as well. As soon as the 3rd card comes out, which is in the last deck, then it actually says, okay, from now, after you end that round, you all have 2 more rounds left, and these are the only 2 rounds you can attack those big bad guys, which is really funny, because you find people have these. You actually pull out your meeples at the end of your turn, so you look at these meeples, working out what you're going to do, and then that card pops out. It's like, oh, this is what I'm attacking that guy with.
oh crap, I don't have what I need. And you start sweating bullets trying to figure out how you're going to take him down. And there is also variable abilities on each guy, the little tiles that you can change around, saying, well, if you kill him this way, you'll also get these extra points as well. So every game's going to be a little bit different, but it's pretty cool.
Is the bag building, not so much bag building because that's generally pretty satisfying, but the drawing from the bag, is that frustrating when the luck doesn't go your way? Because I know, like with Quacks, for example, it's like, oh, I busted, but I can still buy things or I can still get points. And, if you're towards the back, you've got the rat tails to help you catch up. Is there similar sense of, like, oh, darn, as opposed to getting really, really frustrated?
There are those moments, but you can do things like when your warriors are upgraded. Was it the warrior? No, knights. So when your knights are upgraded, if you pull out a knight into your tavern, then you can pull out another meeple from the bag. Or your clerics, I think, if you upgrade them to level 2, if they come out with a corruption, you can pull an extra meeple out the bag. Or if you pull out 2 extra corruption, you can get a meeple out the bag. But then once again, as you're buffing up your warriors, for example, well, my warriors are looking real tough. I'm going to start trying to make sure I have more warriors.
Yeah, cool.
You know what I mean? So you can do things to manipulate the bag, but absolutely, it's a big luck thing. You can have real bad luck at the end of the game, and you've got quests you're collecting as well. So there's actually quests and end game goals you're trying to achieve. So I keep ending up with a quest that's have 5 peasants in your bag at the end of the game. It's worth like 6 or 8 points. But to achieve that, you're leaving a bunch of peasants in the game. It's
counterintuitive to your end game goals.
I don't want to keep going on about it, but there's another thing where, depending how many monsters are in a section of the village, if you use a worker placement action there, you'll actually get more peasants. So it actually deters you from using certain areas because they'll start filling up your bag with not great meeples.
Yeah.
So as the monsters come out, depending which section of the city they land in, it's going to deter you from wanting to take actions because it's going to fill up your bag with crap. So there's lots of really cool things in this game, and I think everyone would really enjoy playing it because it's just fun. It's a fun game.
It does sound like fun.
That's it.
So Bobby, with your difficult second album, are you upping the meeple count for that game?
Yes.
Oh yes,
it was pretty definitive.
It's kind of gone from, and it's still. I mean, it's still a moving feast at the moment, but it's instead of like 4 different types of people and 1 resource, it's 5 different types of people and 3 resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it's making sure that you still got that tension of going, I need that, I haven't got enough of that, where do I go?
Yeah.
So they still, you want to do that even when you've got like all of those things you've got to manage. But then again, you've got to make sure that it's easy enough to do that too as well.
What are the I've always, every time I play this game, I change my mind about what the most valuable resource is.
It's whatever you need at that time.
Yeah.
But it feels like every time I go, I just need more servants. So I'm just going to focus on servants. As soon as I do that, I need more yellow.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point.
My citizens.
That's the whole point. Soldiers are like the most hard to come by.
Yes.
But and so you want to use those sparingly. But
they also don't have that much they can do for you. They only do the walls and the cohorts.
The wall guard.
Right? And the scouts, So
yeah.
And you can still use them in the. You still use them in the let's say church, not church, the temple.
Yes.
So,
right.
Yeah. So.
All right, Dan, you're the last one. Have you got anything you wanted to talk about? Should we just move on?
Yeah, we can move on. No, there's 2 games I've been playing quite a bit of, and one of them I'll say to the end because it's actually one of my oaths. I've been really enjoying that one. But the other one that I wanted to just quickly mention is, because you guys know I love my word games, and this is a word game that sparked my interest last year when it came out, but it's only just hit retail in Australia in the last sort of month, and it's So Clover. By the same publisher that brought out Just One as well. And the one thing I love about
So Clover? No.
Guns So Clover. No. And it's another game in my collection that has an exclamation mark in it as well. So, yeah. Except for Hadrian's Wall. That has that's not it. No. So Clover is again, it's a party game, and it's like a word association. So imagine when you're playing code names, but you're only got two words, and you have to try and find a word to associate to give a clue so that they'll associate that word. Well, that's essentially what it is on a plastic 4-leaf clover. You get these little cards that sit in the middle of the, just so you guys can see, that sit in the middle of the clover, and each of the cards is 4-sided. And so depending on how you actually place them in the clover, each leaf will have 2 words on it, and you need to put a clue on each leaf. So 4 clues for the 4 pairs of words that you need to associate. And then what you do is take a 5th card, mix them all together, and then get the rest of the table, the rest of the party to do it. But there's a couple of things I really like about this. Not only is it a good sort of clue, sort of cryptic sort of guessing game, but everyone has, it plays 2 to 6 players. Everyone has a clover, so everyone does it at the same time. So there's no sitting there waiting for the other people to do it, like with code names. When you're on one team, you're sitting there waiting for the other team or the other clue giver to think of a clue. Everyone's doing their clues at the same time, and then you one at a time sort of put them all in the middle and you turn them over. So if 6 people playing, there's 6 clovers to try and guess. One person obviously remains mum because it's theirs, and everyone else is bouncing ideas off each other. And you're trying to position these cards, the 4 or the 5 cards, to go, well, these 2 words probably go together with that one, but no, it doesn't work on this side of the clover. And how does it work with the other side? And then you score by you get two attempts at it. So if the team gets all 4 word combinations correct, then you get 4 points plus a bonus 2 for just getting it first shot. Otherwise, the person who designed the clues will take a couple of the ones that are incorrect off, and then the team gets a second attempt. But unlike Just One, this actually plays pretty well at 2. So Jen and I have been playing this, and it's just a really nice one we're both sort of doing it at the same time, and then we swap and go, how'd you go? And it's like, I don't know, what the hell is this? What does this mean? I don't even know how you got that. I can't work it out. Whereas that's not something you can do with Codenames. You can't do that with Just One. So it does play well at 2, even though the box says sort of 3 to 6. But this is going to be a great game day game as well. I think it's going to really work, and it would probably even work well. I was saying to someone during the week, it probably work well on Discord as well. Someone just shares their screen and everyone can just chime in and play. Again, you can't really do that with some of the other games. So look, I'm really glad this is that I picked this up. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. I'll bring it to the game days, but even just Jen and I, if we got half an hour before bed, like, we'll just have a quick game of So Clover, and the components are really great. There's a lot of cards, and depending on obviously how you orient them, you're going to get heaps of longevity out of it. Yeah. Just one little twist of a card, and suddenly the clue that you have to give is completely different. It does put it. The only downside is if you're not good with word games, it really does put you on the spot to try and think of a word, and the only sort of way around that is to possibly just on maybe the left side and the right side think of words for those, and then maybe just target one of the words on the top leaf, and just sort of the team can fluke it by knowing that obviously these 2 cards on the side must fit because they're obvious. So I guess that clue means this word and that word sort of thing. But it's a lot of fun. I love these sorts of games where you sort of have to think of clues or pass clues on or write things down. Even back in the days of like Boulder Dash, I used to love playing Boulder Dash.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, this game was being played on my game group last night, and even though I didn't get a chance to play it, it's one of those games you definitely walk past and go, oh, what are you guys doing? Because you see these bright green clovers and they're riding on the edge, and I'm like, oh, like, what's going on here? Like, it visually looks like, oh, I want to try that, because I don't know what they're doing, but it just looks interesting, It's
I do love these word games that do actually bring everyone together, like a Just One, as opposed to a Codenames when it's 2 teams and everyone's bouncing ideas off each other, and no, that's crazy, and then bugger me, you're right, sort of thing. Yeah, you love those moments. That's something you can't do when you play it with just a small group. You really want everyone to get involved.
It does sound like that natural sort of successor, I guess, to someone who's maybe run the course with Just One, because I know that my family have just played Just One to death. And if I play that just one more time, I might die.
Someone was so clever to come up with another game.
Hang in there, Bobby. They make it worse. The puns make it worse. But
It's, any fans of Take 6 or Sick Nimmt or whatever?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I love that game, mate. I love that game. That's like my icebreaker with any big group, or towards the end of the night if we've got 20 minutes left. Let's just get through one round of 6 Nimmt. I love that game.
I've never known a group of people to get so violent over a card game.
Exactly, yeah. If you're not friends before, you will be after swearing at you. Yeah.
I hate the advanced rules though, where you can place numbers at the start of the row as well. That just twists my head in a loop. I cannot wrap my head around it properly. It's just when you think you've got a strategy nailed down, it messes with you something fierce.
And there's nothing better than the smugness of someone being like, "Oh yes, I'm gonna get this," and then there's one person to go and they play it, and so as opposed to them taking just placing the one, they have to take the whole row. Yes. It's like sucked in full.
Yeah, or I've got 64. And it's 62. What are the chances someone's got 63? Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. Usually when it's me, for sure, someone will place that one number right before me.
As our resident solo gamer, Mitch, have you been playing with yourself lately?
Funnily enough, Mike, I have, but I haven't been playing solo games. The game that I would, and I'll quickly run through this because I do see the time ticking away. As a bit of a love letter fan, as I am, I've been getting a few different of the editions. I saw the latest entry into that sort of line pop out recently, which is Jabba's Palace. Okay, that's a love letter based on it's actually really based around Return of the Jedi. Because it doesn't really have a lot of anything else. It doesn't have any of the new film sort of stuff in it. It's really sort of centered around the whole Jabba's Palace and that experience that happens there at the start of Jedi. So I grabbed that because I obviously just needed it for the collection. But I will say that, if you look at, say, Batman Love Letter, which is one of the big popular ones that seems to be really hard to get now, it's got Batman's art on it and so on, but it's exactly the same as the original Love Letter. There's nothing different apart from the artwork. Then you've got your Lovecraft Letter, which is the Cthulhu-based one, which gives you some more variation and so on. The Jabba's Palace one does actually some really cool things that none of the others have actually done. So the cards are split into factions. So you have the Jabba's faction, and then you have the Rebel faction as well. And there are some abilities that will actually impact other players depending on which card they happen to be holding in their hand at that time. So it might say, like, pick a player, if they have a Rebel card, they're out. I think that's the Boba Fett card. Maybe I can't remember, but it's usually actually maybe it is Jabba. But if you have one of the powerful, say, Jabba's Palace cards, then that's what it does. It impacts everybody else that has the Rebel cards, and vice versa. I think Luke does the same to the other way around. It also gives you different end game goals. So rather than just being the person who has the highest card, i.e. the princess or whatever, at the end of the game, once all the cards have been played out of the deck, you can choose to play the rounds with different goals. So it might be finish the round with the most Rebel cards in play in front of you, or I can't remember off the top of my head what they are, but there's about four or five, maybe 3 or 4 different end game objectives. So you're not always just playing to try and have the highest card at the end of the game. Which just puts a little bit of a different twist on it. So, it's for a game that's going to cost you, $25 or something like that. The components are pretty nice. The card's good. They've got these little Jabba's Palace tokens, which are the, replace the cubes or the hearts, depending on which version of the original Love Letter you have. And, if you're into Love Letter, and I thought it'd be great for my son who's 13, and you say, "Hey mate, do you want to play Love Letter? It's all about princesses and wooing the princess." He goes, "Yeah, see you later, Dad." But to be able to say, "Hey, let's play Jabba's Palace, where we're playing Star Wars, and we're doing Jedis and the criminal cartel in Jabba's Palace," it's a much more easy game to get into for him than, say, Love Letter or whatever as well. So yeah, I just thought it was really really cool.
So are there twice as many cards in there, given that there's 2 factions? Is the deck larger? Because the original Love Letter is only 16 cards or something.
17 cards, I think. You play one out. I think it's around about the same, but they're just like the roles are then just split up, into the maybe they must be the same because you only play one card out at the start of the game, so that the information's not total. You're never going to know exactly what cards are in play. There's always one to give you a miss there. But I think one of the cards has that ability that you can actually look at that discarded card which I don't think exists in the original either.
No, that's part of it too.
So
you can't do the card counting because it's always like
Yeah.
one missing.
Yeah, and there's one card that's really cool, which is the Han Solo card, which is a value 0, and he's in the carbonite or whatever. And if you can last till the end of the round with that card in your hand, then win or lose, you still get one of the points tokens.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, which is
cool.
kind of cool because then you're kind of like, well, that's worth holding on to, but it's counterintuitive to trying to keep the highest card as well because obviously it's the lowest of the cards. And if someone plays the card that says compare hands and whoever's got the lowest is out, well, then you're always in the firing line of being a victim of that card, right?
That's cool.
So, yeah, so there's a couple of cool new little twists in there that just, make it different enough from the other Love Letter games that I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And if you're into Love Letter and you like that thing, then, yeah, I'd recommend run out and grab it. It's a cool little game.
I'm going to check it out.
Bobby, do the deduction or social deduction games appeal to you much at all? Do you get into any of those?
It depends on what those kind of social deduction games are. I mean, there's ones that I'm absolutely if it's memory involved, I'm shocking. What's that one called with it's not Vivid? There's one where I am absolutely useless. You're trying to hold the memory of where things are on the board, and I just can't do that. But normally I'm a dude on the map kind of bloke.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, folks. Well, I think we'll call the discussion there, and we'll move into our bracket battle, shall we?
Hey guys, it's Dan here, and it's that time again. The Board Game Barbecue Awards are coming. Okay, it takes a while for all of us in Australia to play last year's releases, and most of them have found their way down under, and so we are ready to open up nominations next week on Monday the 7th for the best games of 2021. They're all the same categories like last year: best kids game, best family game, best party game, best light game, best medium weight game, best heavy game, best artwork, best expansion, and of course, game of the year. Now, nominations are open to anyone in the community for 3 weeks. So whether you're on Facebook, Discord, Instagram community, you can nominate in all 9 categories or just a few. Once nominations close on Sunday the 27th, then we'll take the most nominated game in each category and they'll become our official nominees for the Board Game Barbecue Awards. And then we hand it over to our esteemed panel of judges, our Patreons, to vote. And all of this will culminate in the Board Game Barbecue Awards night, which once again will be filmed for YouTube, and we hope to have some surprises on the show as well. So keep an eye out next week for the nomination forms, and we look forward to seeing everyone's submissions. And don't forget, if you want to actually be one of the voting panel as well, you can join our Patreons at patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue. You can also sign up to donate and get access to exclusive podcast episodes that we record just for our Patreons. But don't worry, there are also plenty of ways to support the podcast without donating. You can go to Apple Podcasts, leave a star rating and a review for us, or Spotify's new star rating system. It only takes a few seconds of your time, but it absolutely means the world to us. You can also get involved in the Board Game Barbecue community by joining our Facebook community, following us on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. And of course, there's our Discord community where there's always games and conversations going on. So get involved and support the show. All the links are in the show notes.
Okay, so this week we'll be resolving a bracket battle and starting a new one. And the one that we are going to resolve is Wingspan versus Lords of Waterdeep, which everyone has been voting for over the last week. And I'll throw it out to the group. What do you think? How do we think this one's going to fall?
Ooh, it's a tough one.
Lords of Waterdeep, surely it's one. Love Lords of Waterdeep.
I think just for the recency, I would have said Wingspan.
It's got a lot of Wingspan, isn't it?
I think as a avid fan of Lords of Waterdeep, one of the first board games I ever played with my family during like the renaissance of games, I still think Wingspan is a better game than Lords of Waterdeep.
Okay.
Well, I will put you out of your misery because I know you're all hanging on the edge of your seats to find out which one won. And it was in a relative landslide, almost 2-1, Wingspan.
Yeah, I guess as much.
That we'll go through. So Lords of Waterdeep will take a valiant bow out of the competition, and Wingspan will go through to the next round. And that will bring us up with our next battle, which we are starting off today. Don't forget, after this episode, you'll be able to go onto all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and vote for your favourite. You can even vote on all 3 platforms if you would like to do so. And it is the Stonemaier worker placement of Viticulture versus the game that I forgot. What was it? Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Even Bobby knows what the next one is.
We talked about it before, but I'm looking on my sheet and I'm like, I cannot see it anywhere. I can see Lords of Waterdeep versus Wingspan. Quacks of Quedlinburg. So we've got a pretty good classic Euro game in Viticulture with your worker placement versus this bag building, push luck, epic randomness of Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Absolute bedlam.
Absolute bedlam. So what do you think? How do you think this one's going to shake down?
The people that vote on it on your Discord channel, that's like your fans, yeah?
Yeah, Discord or our Facebook community or anyone following us on Instagram can vote. How would you go, Conor, in terms of what do you, out of those 2 games, where would you put it?
Okay, so I think the one I've played the most out of the 2 is Quacks. And to be fair, if that was the criteria of which you'd vote for, that would probably nearly win everything because I've played so much Quacks and played with so many different people. And it's the game I probably introduced the most people to, I think, because it's one of those games where you'd go, oh my God, like I didn't know you could have this type of fun in a board game. You know, it's that silliness, you're effectively gambling. Every time you do that, you're back in it, and it's that rush of going, oh, I'm going to pick one more out. So I'll put your hand in and you draw it, and you're either stoked because you've gotten the yellow one. That means you can move ahead 1 and take one of the cherry bombs away, the mandrake roots, or the shattering feeling of drawing. You know, when you could have drawn any token from your bag, but you drew a 3 cherry bomb. And you've blown up like that.
It's funny you say that because that first example you gave of being terrified of drawing the white and then pulling the... I've never had that. I always draw the white.
That's because when I play with you, when you go up to get a drink, I sneak more white ones into your bag. That's what happens.
There's a theme here, but have you played the expansions? Have you?
I've played the Herb Witches, but not the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, I play with both, and I mean the Herbs Witches give you a little bit of grace, don't they? So they kind of mitigate some of that hard bad luck that you might get. The other one, the other expansion, it does give you almost like your own like mini game, which I quite enjoy. Yeah.
Right.
You've got like the still, don't you? And you can put different ones. Is that what you're supposed to do, or you have different?
So
different
I mean, the distiller works the same way, but you end up. I think there's 4 different options that you can put in your distill, so you can have your own like almost superpower throughout the rest of the game. And so it just offers you different kind of variations on what you want to do. I think what it does, it pushes you down the route of diversifying, so you don't end up having to, saying, right, I'm just going to hit the combination of the orange and the red, which I know comes from the base one. So you want to diversify because it gives you more options on your distiller. Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah,
you'd say it gives you your own mini game, but isn't Quacks already your own mini game? I mean, for me, Quacks is it's great fun, but it's more fun than it's the experience because you are pretty much just doing your own thing. And that's why I would put Viticulture in front in this race.
So what do you like about Viticulture, Dan?
It's the competitive nature of it. And I mean, of the 2, Viticulture is the one that I'm still playing. I still play it online. The BGA port is a really, really good port. In fact, I've got a few games going with some of the guys in Discord. I have a love-hate relationship with it, I'll be perfectly honest, because some games I have that I just do really well, others I suck at it. And it's mainly just because I don't get the right cards for the wines. I was going to
say, I mean, the cards do kind of have a massive impact, don't they? I mean, they do swing the game quite a lot. So you go, all right, it's you on the best will of the world, you could have the best strategy, but you're not pulling those cards out, and you're buggered, aren't you? So do you have a problem with that?
Oh, I do have a problem.
When it happens, he does.
When I say it's love-hate relationship, that's the hate. That's the hate part. That's the hate part. And everything tees up perfectly. When I get the right vines and the right sort of wines to make, and everything marries up just within the first couple of rounds, it's no issue. Otherwise, you're spending the next few rounds trying to get that marriage going so that you can actually get it going. Otherwise, you just have everything sitting in your cellar and you can't make any wines of any value. Now, I haven't played the Tuscany. I don't know if that changes anything, but even just from the longevity, I enjoy the challenge of viticulture a lot more than I do the game of Quacks. I think, even though there is that it's not perfect. I mean, for a while there was my favourite worker placement. Now Tio has taken over that sort of mantle. But if it comes down to viticulture versus Quacks, my vote would be for viticulture.
Do you know it's funny? Like you talk about how when it all marries up and you're having fun, the amount of times I've played Quacks or even a game where it's a bit swingy, like with Viticulture, where the loser is like, "This game's so random, rah rah rah, that's not fair." But the winner's like, "Hey man, I'm just awesome at this game. You cannot beat me. Like I am a tactical mastermind." When in the back of your mind, you know that it comes down to luck. It's like, why have I been cursed with the bad luck? When so I just always find that so amusing when you got the polar opposites of it happening at the one table.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the person who's on the mat looking up. They're the one that has a problem with the game.
And how about you, Mike? Have you played either of these games?
Just Quacks. It's been a while since I've played Quacks. Like recently, Kabuto's has sort of been the new sort of replacement for me. But it's been a lot. I made the mistake with Quacks by going through a lot of effort to 3D print all the little stands and boxes, and then I never played it with them. So I've been actually going to get it out of the box again because I know it's been a long time, but haven't played Viticulture, so I can't comment exactly. I know Quacks is an amazing experience. It's lots of fun. It's snappy. It's accessible, and I think that's, from what I've heard about Viticulture, it's a great game, and I think it's going to have a lot of supporters. But I think families are more accessible, most likely, to your Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I think that's what's going to give it a good run for its money. There's a lot of people that enjoy that fun experience, and more people are going to be attracted to it if they're lighter gamers, and I think that just broadens it. That I think Quacks could take it, but you know, the buzz might be dwindling a little bit, so I'm interested to see which way it goes.
All right.
Before we move on, mentioning Quacks, and I know Bobby also said that he's the person that goes out and buys everything. Bobby, do you have everything for Quacks? Do you own Quacks, actually?
I do, yeah, and I have everything for Quacks, yeah.
Yeah.
I got Viticulture, I've got everything for Viticulture as well. So I told you, it's a habit, it's really bad.
All right, so we'll call it that. If you want to see your favourite go through the next round, make sure you get onto our Facebook community or our Discord server or onto Instagram and vote for your game, because if you don't, just like Ricky Lee in Australian Idol, it'll be out too soon. All right.
It's a deep cut.
Yeah, the deepest of deepest cut.
Wow.
And
it's like still a sore point as well, Mitch.
It's a little bit. I might have had a crush on her when I was young. Anyway, moving right along.
You were young?
A few decades ago, I was young, Mike.
They say. Hey guys, it's Mike here. I'm here to talk to you about Advent Games. Have you bought a game from Advent yet? If you haven't, you definitely should. Dean and his team are absolutely amazing. They've got an amazing website, really heavily curated with all sort of different categories, from deck building and rare games, and look, just go check it out. They offer $10 flat rate shipping all around Australia. They also directly support the podcast game days up in Sydney, so you can go by and say hello. Guys, go check out Advent. You won't regret it.
Okay, so that will bring us to our Swear an Oath segment, which is where we all swear an oath to do something within the board gaming community or hobby, and we make an effort to try and get that done by the next time we're on the podcast. So, Bobby, would you like to participate in this with us today?
Yeah, I can do.
I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it.
That'll be good.
Because you're new here. But we will hold you to it, and you can put a post up somewhere with a hashtag oath fulfilled to let us know that you've achieved it when you have. But to start things off, I'll throw over to Dan, and you can let us know, how have you gone with your past oath, Dan?
Yeah, so my oath was to play Targi for the first time, and this is the other game that I've been playing quite a bit of this week, and I bloody love it. It is so good. I can't believe it's taken me this long to discover Targi as a two-player game. It plays really well. Jen and I played it a couple of times. I haven't been able to beat her yet.
That's not a surprise, is it?
No, it's not
like
actually.
That's something special.
I married up for sure. But it's I really enjoy the center section of the game, how it shifts. It's like the shifting sands, and so you can't really nail down a strategy until the board changes, and then it's a tussle between who's going to secure what, and you do that by putting your meeples around the outside, and so wherever they intersect. So of course, the one that I want is generally the one that Jen wants as well, and there's always a fight for that little piece of territory, which is really good. But Targi also plays really well on BGA, and the good thing about on BGA is it does all the math for you. It counts up all the victory points, so they don't have to overlook anything. If you've got any of the tribe cards in your hand or in your tableau in front of you, that gives you a discount on the goods to purchase them. You don't have to keep track of that sort of stuff because it does it for you, because that was what we end up doing. We end up buying something. It's like, oh, no, hang on. If I get a camel card, actually, I don't have to pay. I get a discount of one good, so I'll put that back. Or, oh, no, hang on, you get it does it for you. It's great. So I highly recommend Targi on BGA. But even just at the two-player game, it is brilliant, and we'll be playing that a lot more because it does. I think the first game took nearly an hour. The second time we played it was much less. So I think once we get sort of used to it all, it'll be like the perfect little afternoon when Ollie's down for a nap.
Does it play more than two? I thought it was a two-player game.
No, just two.
Only two, right?
Only two. Okay,
two or nothing.
Yep. Now, my other oath was the Under Falling Skies campaign, and I posted a photo to say, hey, I'm going to crack this campaign open, and then someone goes, oh, you've done all the other, I can't remember who it was now, so I can't shout out to them, but someone on a Discord went, oh, you played all the other training ones, and I went, no, I've just done Roswell, the basic one. I thought, do I start the campaign now? And I sort of tossed and turned and went, all right, I'll go back, and so I played Washington. I did actually beat it, but it took 3 times to beat it, so because I'd never played with the robot dice before. So, and then cracking open the first story of the campaign. Oh, but there's so much stuff in just the first one. There's we can spoil them. I'm not going to talk about it in great detail, but there's 4 new cities, and there's other player abilities and stuff. So I haven't fulfilled that yet because I did go back and I thought I'll do the right thing. I'll complete the other cities first. So Under Falling Skies, I'll carry across. But as we do, I should double down on something, and I'm going to double down on something that we spoke about earlier, and I need to revisit Hadrian's Wall and try and beat my current score.
Yeah.
Before we started recording, I said my best score was 63, and I kind of got the feeling that was a pity. Well done from you, Bobby. So
I thought that was your first score. I thought someone said, was that your first?
I haven't actually beaten that either.
Oh, right.
So I'm going to try and beat that, and then beat my PB for Hadrian's Wall, and then I can go oath fulfilled, and I'll hashtag Bobby Hill as well.
At which difficulty, Dan? At which difficulty are you going to be beating that at?
Oh, the normal, because that was what it was designed on.
Okay, normal. All right.
Wasn't it?
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend.
Sorry, here.
Yeah, but what did you get the 63 on? That was on easy, wasn't it, Dan?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, probably. All right. So I, Dan Harris, swear to beat my PB for Hadrian's Wall.
Alrighty. Mike, how you been going with yours? But you must have done it. You've played 17,000 games this week.
The next day. Clank in Space I played with Renata, and it played great at 2. Clank's always been a fun game at 2. And look, OG Clank has a big place in my heart, got all the expansions, but man, did they really take what they needed to fix in Clank in Space, and they really did improve the game. I will absolutely say it. They the modular board, I've only played it once so far, but having the option of a modular board to change things around, I think is really cool. They've added these factions in the cards. It plays just like Hero Realms. We have to sort of play 2 cards of the same color together to be able to use special abilities. That was a cool addition. And just the main thing is they fixing the whole thing that people can rush to grab a treasure and escape straight away, making you do some tasks first so you can see it coming and you have to prepare for it. Those are really cool. They've got conveyor belts that move. They've got teleporters, and the teleporter sounds like it's better, but depending how you use them, really it sounds OP, but it wasn't. It was still a really close game. So I think the creators really did a good job of making improvements to the game. Not saying the original Clank isn't a good game. I think if everyone's on the same playing field and have the same sort of idea how they want to play the game, it's still great. But Clank and Space was really good. Will I want to sell all the OG Clank and just change to Clank and Space? Maybe. I'm still deciding, but I think it was good enough that I could make that decision and still be happy with it. I don't think I'd need both, to be honest. So I'll either keep my box with all the expansions and all the crap in it, or maybe I'll end up trading up and moving on to the Clank and Space stuff. So it was a big success, and I really want to play it at 4 now, because at 2 it was great, but I think at 4 it'll really sing. For my next one, I wrote something down, but I'm going to give Bobby some choice in this one, because I like to sometimes throw, I guess, some options to help me with my next oath, and I'm going to go for a roll and write, flip and write theme. So I've got a couple on there, and you can tell me, Bobby, which one is my next oath. So I've not played yet Welcome to the Moon. I got Railroad Inc., the red one, which I've never played any Railroad Inc. And I've got That's Pretty Clever, which I've never played in person and never played more than the solo variant. So one of those. What are you feeling there?
I'm a big fan of Railroad Inc. So I think if you've never played that before, I'd definitely give that a go.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Done. I'm Michael Farrugia. We'll play Railroad Inc. by the time I'm on the podcast next.
Alrighty. So, looking very stern and concerned for himself over there is Conor down in Warrnambool.
No, I was disappointed in Mike not playing.
The game's run clever.
Gotta play that, bro.
You got to come down, man. Help me get that done.
Yeah, I got to come east. Yeah.
Come on down.
That's fine. I can do that. I can school you in it. Nat. My oaths. I had a couple of oaths. One was to teach Adrian Imperial Settlers, the base game, and we played it over TTS. And now we know Adrian, right? And we know that.
Well, we know Sarah's blamed Adrian for her oath.
No. So, well, first of all, he did come good. He was able to play it with me. He just referred to it as a chill game, right? And I'm like, what does that mean? What do you mean by a chill game? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And then anyway, so we did that. So tick that one off. I mean, I enjoyed playing it, and just so he knows, I took it easy on him because I played it and I could have really murked him, but I didn't. And my second oath was to start our oath campaign. So myself, Def, Harry, and JB, all from our community, we played through the first scenario of Oath, which is sort of this. I don't know, mythical might be like a bit of an overstatement, a bit of a hyperbole, but it's got this place in the hobby where it's kind of a mix between a legacy game, maybe a little bit of role playing, got dudes on a map type thing, and.
Right up your alley, Bobby.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting if you have played it or not.
I know other people have played it, and I've heard varying views. I mean, there's a crowd out there for it.
And we were lucky enough to chat to Cole as well, and he said, we don't make everyone's favorite game, but we make someone's favorite game, and I can totally see that in Oath because. I'll let the other three spoil if they want to spoil what happened in the game in terms of the outcome. But we got to a point where there was a number of us that were like, this is such a great experience. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see where it's going to lead. And then there was part of the group that was like, look, I'm not sure if I even want to play this game again. So it was really, really interesting. But regardless of that, we decided, well, let's give it one more go. We'll play it one more because it seems a bit silly that a game like that you would then say, no, not silly, like you're allowed to have that opinion, but from how it's supposed to be played, I think it would be a disservice just to say, okay, I won't play it again then.
One and done. Yeah.
Because there's all sorts of things that you got to learn. There's like I said, there's dudes on the map. There's the storytelling. There's the legacy aspect, but there's also the diplomacy in it as well. And none of us, I felt, for the group were using the diplomacy as we could, probably until the last round. Whereas I think the whole point is to have that as an ongoing theme behind it. So, I am excited. The game still excites me because of what it promises and all that type of stuff. So, and I know like Jules is a massive fan of it. A couple of the other guys, I think Joe maybe also is a massive fan of it. They've either played one or they're starting their second campaign together. So, we will continue to play at least one more session to see how it goes. But like we said, I've got to pick another one, right? And I believe in the mail to me currently is a game called Zapotech. So I'm really as Dan is too, massive fan of Board and Dice, massive fan of TO. I really liked Takenu. So I'm excited to play Zapotech when it gets here. So that's under the proviso that it gets here by the time I'm on the show next. So I, Conor Devine with an asterisk, swear to play Zapotech by the next time I'm on the show.
Cool. I might just, since Mike and you just went, I might bring up the point that both of you seem to have neglected the fact that you still have outstanding Kris Kringle Christmas oaths that were made back prior to the festive season in December.
Please keep in mind that Conor doesn't come to the Melbourne game days. He goes to all other game days. So I've not seen Conor in person for quite a long time. So I'm waiting for him to come down and teach me Imperial Settlers of the West.
Was that part of it that he had to teach it to you?
Yes.
I might let you off then.
But I don't. I just showed. For those of you who are at home, I literally showed my copy of Great Western Trail that Mitch sent to me. So I have no excuse, and I'm usually full of them. So there you go.
You're full of something, that's for sure. Then you're going to blame Australia Post for not getting your next oath done. That's outrageous.
Always got them out, my friend. Always got them out.
All right, Bobby, so you've had a little while. Have you come up with something yet?
Yeah, I suppose it's going to probably be a little bit abstract, but I suppose it's giving myself a bit of a break, to be honest.
Bobby's oath is to have some me time.
Yeah, well, no, it's what it is that it's that difficult sophomore album. Do you know what I mean? And you kind of like, if I look at what I've done, I suppose I should be quite happy with what I've done. But it's always like, oh, good. Now let's see what I can do the next one. And my wife's always going, oh, just look. Every step she's going, but look what you've done. And so it's actually just to stop and actually just rest back on the chair.
Take a breath.
Take a breath and actually realise, well, this is the hobby that we're all into, and the reason why we do it is because we enjoy it. So, just chill out for a bit and just enjoy the hobby and enjoy the experience of playing and making them, instead of just like freaking out about why certain things aren't working. I think, So, if I come back next time, I'll tell you how well I got on.
We'll want to see some photos from the trips.
The
slideshow.
I want to see a drink with an umbrella in it by the beach. Then we'll know that you're happy and you've found your.
It's New Zealand. You're never too far away from a beach. It's all good.
And we'll see Jay from 3 Minute Board Games in the bushes just off the side with the binoculars. And that leaves me to close out the group. And I was on last episode, so I didn't have a lot of time. And I kind of knew when I made the oath that I probably wasn't going to get there, because the oath that I made was to play Cerebria by Mindclash Games, which is a fairly significant undertaking. It's been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and the only reason I haven't played it to date is because it scares the hell out of me. So no surprises, I haven't achieved my oath yet. It's still on the to-do list, so that will remain there. But as is the custom here at the Board Game Barbecue, I have to double down, and I will double down by saying I'm going to play After the Virus.
Interesting.
Which I just received yesterday. It's done by, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but I believe it's the same guy that did Terraforming Mars.
I want to hear you pronounce it. Give it a go.
Xilius.
Yeah. Perfect.
Is that the guy? I'm pretty sure it
crushed it.
Yep. And it's actually pretty hard to get. I think they kickstarted this, but I don't think there was a big retail run that was done. So I've been trying to chase a copy for a while because I've heard some good reviews. I think Martin Gonzalez actually did a review of the solo, if I remember correctly.
So what kind of game is it?
It's a card game.
Right.
It's like a zombie card game, deck builder hybrid sort of thing. So I literally have not really even read the rules yet in terms of how it plays or anything like that. I sort of skimmed through the rule book. There's a campaign that you work through and the difficulty increases as you go, but I've heard good things about it. So I'm Mitch Keddy. We'll play After the Virus before the next time I'm on the pod, and I will at least read the rule book for Cerebria.
I know why you're scared of Cerebria, because you're worried about what an actual human brain looks like compared to what yours does. So,
well, I don't have one, Conor. I'm like the
scarecrow.
Was it the scarecrow? Didn't have a brain.
Head full of stuff. I totally understand, because my Tricarian sat on my shelf for a year at least before I just went, all right, I'm going to have to try and tackle this. And even then, I relied on someone from the community to help me, because those Mind Clash games, it just, they frighten the hell out of me. And you said Tricarian's one of you're a big fan, Bobby.
Yeah, I am, and I've hopefully I haven't done what I have a tendency to do. You know, you go, this game's great, let's get some expansions. Oh my god, it's just too big now. I just don't want to play it anymore. I've got the big box with basically, I think there was like 4 expansions. So, and I really enjoy it. Unfortunately, it's turned into one of those. Let's play it on Thursday night too. Let's prepare to play it in 2 weeks' time on a Saturday afternoon, because it's become a bit of a behemoth. But I again, from the theme point perspective, it's so good, and it's really easy to teach, because you can go, this is the reason why you're going here. This is the reason why you're doing this. You know, and it's a beautiful. You know, it's got little puzzles in it as well. I love it. I think it's great.
That's excellent. All right. Well, that'll bring us to the end of the show today. So before we close, I would just like to take this opportunity to say thank you so much to Bobby Hill for joining us today. I hope you had a good time.
It's been fantastic. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks. Great. Not a problem at all. And thanks for being the first person on Oceania Month this year. Yeah. And we wish you all the best of luck with any future endeavours that you've got. Yes. And is there anywhere in particular people can check you out if they wanted to...
I suppose. You can go to your. I'm on your Discord now. I'm also on. I'm on the Garfield Games Discord as well. If you want to reach out, and you know, I stalk BGG if you want to poke me on there as well. So, I'm you know, I'm an underling of Shem. So if you need anything, you can get through Shem as well. So
no worries. He'll let you out for a little while.
Yeah, you know,
2 or 3 hours a day. Yep. No exercise. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks to Dan as well, and to Mike and Conor. Hope you guys had fun.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Always good to talk games.
All right, everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Speaking of Warrnambool, I thought you guys would bite harder when I said you were the 3rd favourite city in Australia.
Yeah, I just let you have it. Yeah.
What, after Sydney and Dubbo? Is that what?
Yeah, I was like, what's the second one?
Brisbane. Well, it's good to know that only half of our audience will get that gag anyway, Dan. Right?
Yeah.
So.